All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Check out Pig and a Pickle and their two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Corte Madera from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. They're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Get the brisket chili. It's amazing. All right, let's talk a little 49ers. Niners had a number of defections, guys who moved on to other teams. Which guy is going to shine the brightest in their new spot? Let's first list them. It's Azeez Al-Shaair went to Tennessee. Jimmy Garoppolo went to the Raiders. Jimmy Ward went to the Texans. Emmanuel Mosley jumped to the Lions. Charles Omenihu to the Chiefs. Samson Ebukam to the Colts. Jordan Willis joined Jimmy G with the Raiders. Mike McGlinchey went to go play for Sean Payton in Denver. And Robbie Gould is moving on. And at this point, we don't know exactly where Robbie Gould is going to kick, but he's moving on to somebody, maybe Chicago, maybe elsewhere. We'll find out. So who's going to do the best? Now, I really am a huge fan of Azeez Al-Shaair, big fan of Al-Shaair. I think he's a really good football player. I think he'll play well for Tennessee. There's no question. I think Garoppolo might be an upgrade on Derek Carr with the Raiders, just because I think he's a better competitor than Derek Carr, and I think Carr had kind of run his course there. Jimmy Ward, I think, is going to be Jimmy Ward's going to be Jimmy Ward. He's fast, he's physical, he's useful, he's tough. He's going to help DeMeco Ryans establish a new culture in Houston. No doubt about it. Jordan Willis is added to a very good Raider defensive front that has Max Crosby, and he's definitely going to help the Raiders quite a bit. Mike McGlinchey was given significant dollars to start at right tackle for the Denver Broncos, and then we'll find out where Robbie Gould goes. But to me, the three guys that I think are going to have the biggest impact, let's start with Emmanuel Mosley. He jumps from the Niners to the Lions. The Lions are coming on. They really are. They're a really good football team, and they've been bad forever. Dan Campbell is changing the culture there, and they just keep adding more and more good football players on both sides of the ball. And, John Dorsey's consulting there. They've got a really good, solid young general manager there, and they're making some right calls, and they're not necessarily doing it the way that everybody thinks they should do it. But I mean, look, offensively, just a quick glance at the Lions roster. Look at what they're doing offensively. I mean, first of all, you got a couple good tackles in Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. Frank Ragnow is a really good center. So you got the makings of a really strong offensive line. Sam Laporta may be the best tight end in a very deep tight end draft. The Iowa kid's been great, according to the reports. Jared Goff has found a home there. They added David Montgomery, the running back from the Bears. They drafted Jahmyr Gibbs out of Georgia. They even picked up Muhammad Ibrahim out of Minnesota late as a college free agent. So, I mean, that's just on the offensive side of the ball. And then, on the defensive side of the ball, they've added Jack Campbell, the Iowa linebacker, who's really underrated. Starling Thomas, the fifth, really solid corner they got as an undrafted free agent. Brian Branch, I thought, was one of the best defensive backs at the safety spot, the Alabama kid. They got him in round 2. They signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson away from the Eagles. Gardner-Johnson's an impact guy. But to me, adding Emmanuel Mosley in their secondary is going to help them immeasurably. If Mosley can stay healthy, you've got Mosley and Cameron Sutton on the corners, Kirby Joseph, Tracy Walker, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Mosley is a really solid football player. When he's healthy, he's a top-tier corner. With size and experience, he's good against the run. I love Emmanuel Mosley. So I think Detroit got a lot better getting Emmanuel Mosley. I don't think there's any question about that. If he stays healthy, and that's a big if, they got him, and they got him at a decent price. I think Mosley helps them immeasurably. So, and they're trying to establish a winning culture there, and he'll do that. He'll help that in that area. All right, the other guy that I really think is going to be underrated is Charles Omenihu. Charles Omenihu started off at Texas, went to the Texans, kind of flirted with some different weights. Is he at 270? Is he 275? Is he 260? I think he realizes after playing with the Niners, he's really good at 260. And now he's on a line that has Chris Jones and George Karlaftis opposite him. There's a lot to like with Kansas City. Kansas City's going to be leading a lot of games in the second half, and that means Amenahue steps in for Frank Clark is going to get an opportunity to sack the quarterback. Jones is going to put a ton of heat on the quarterback. Karlaftis is a blossoming young defensive end star, and Amenahue is got a motor. He's got a great body for the game. If he stays healthy, I think Charles Amenahue is going to run into a number of sacks and I'd be a very productive player for Kansas City. So Amenahue, I think, is going to be a really good ex-49er, and I think he's going to have a lot of success in Kansas City. But the guy who I think is going to have the most success of all the ex-Niners is Samson Ebukam. Samson Ebukam leaves the Niners, and he joins the Indianapolis Colts. And look at the line. He's got Kwity Paye on the other side. Kwity Paye is a monster. First-round pick in 2021 out of Michigan. Big guy who can sack the quarterback. You got Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner inside. They also just drafted Adetomiwa Adebawore from Northwestern. They've got Adebayo from Vandy, who's going to get nothing but better. Jannard Avery is a good edge rusher. I mean, they've got some depth on this line. They're trying to kind of reestablish themselves. I think the Colts have a really good program going. And on this line, where you've got Kwity Paye on one side and DeForest Buckner inside of you, I think Samson Ebukam could have 10 sacks on the Colts. So overall, I mean, I can see all of these ex-Niners doing pretty well. Like if you told me Azeez Al-Shaair led Tennessee in tackles, I would not be shocked. If you told me that Jimmy Garoppolo won 10 games with the Raiders, I wouldn't be shocked. If you told me that Jimmy Ward was like the key guy on Houston's defense and is a big part of D'Amico kind of establishing his program in Houston, wouldn't be shocked. If you told me Jordan Willis was a key cog for the Raiders, that wouldn't surprise me. McGlinchey, he's going to a place where Sean Payton, I think Denver's my breakout surprise team, but I still think McGlinchey got overpaid. But to me, the three guys that are really going to shine, it's Emmanuel Moseley in Detroit, trying to establish a new culture there. Charles Amenahue on a line that has Chris Jones and Karlaftis. And then Samson Ebukam on a line that has Kwity Paye and DeForest Buckner. I would not be surprised if Ebukam and Amenahue are both quietly very, very important players for Kansas City and for Indianapolis. Ebukam's going to make Indy better. Amenahue's going to make Kansas City quite a bit better. All right, hope you enjoyed our 49er video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of The Krug Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.